We buy way too much stuff, and that's common across all of us. And let's talk about some tips in terms of how we can buy less, because when we buy less, we are richer for it. And of course, the environment is better off. There's a myriad of good reasons why we would want to buy less. So let's talk about all of these things and what we can do to make life easier, simpler, and to improve our performance through buying less. Look, if you haven't seen it already and you do have access to Netflix, I recommend that you watch the Buy Now documentary, sort of movie that is on Netflix. It's called Buy Now, and it's a really interesting take in terms of our over-consumerism and what it means. I'm going to talk a little bit about Buy Now in just a moment, but what I want to talk about first is the reasons why you'd want to buy less. I often go out for walks and you see a number of double garages, and double garage meaning it's way worse than the same problem with a single garage. And the problem's this: people can't put their cars inside their garages because the garages are full of stuff. So they have more stuff than they can fit in the house, and it's gone through and become something in the garage. Now, I'm not talking about something productive where someone set up a office or a mini manufacturing organization, company, or just an entity in their garage where they're making things, whether it be jewelry or their own line of cosmetics or whatever it is. I'm talking stuff, just stuff that we buy. So for me, that's one of the surefire ways that you need less stuff. Because if you can't even put your car in your garage, you've got too much stuff. And if you can put your car in your garage, that's great. And if you've got a garage and you don't have a car, that's probably even better, because not having a car is less stuff. You've heard the saying, or something similar, I'm sure, where a good way to moderate your spending is, if you want to buy something, wait 24 hours. And if you still want to buy it then. So I understand that perspective. In fact, I'm a supporter of it. So you get away from that enthusiasm that comes with an impulse purchase, when you see something and you immediately like it and you want to buy it. So that saying, that rule, is about, let's just let the temperature cool a little bit and see if we still want to buy that thing. I want to add one more thing to it, and that's this: not just wait 24 hours, so definitely do that and see if you want to purchase it after 24 hours, but also, is it something that you're going to want for the rest of your life? Now, I'm not talking about those things, obviously, that get consumed with their use, and we're talking food products, but certainly clothing. So, to add my extra sort of rule to the previous rule, as an example, it would look like this. You see a great top, and you think, I want to buy that top. Okay, it's on special, whether it is or not, whether that special stops in the next 12 hours, doesn't matter. Wait 24 hours. There's no point buying something on special you don't want. Back to the example. See a top, you like it. Irrespective of whether it's on special or not, wait 24 hours. Then, here's part two. Go, now before I buy this top, I know I like it now, but will I like it in 4, 5, 6, 10 years' time? Because if the answer to that is no, then that for me is a reason not to buy it. What you're buying into there is just fast fashion. We really don't need too many clothes, but make sure the clothes that you do buy are quality pieces that are going to last the distance, not just the way that they're made, but in the way that they look. That it's not just something fashionable for this one moment. Those two rules together, the wait 24 hours and make sure it's something you want to keep for the rest of your life, and I hadn't thought of doing this in the video, but let me do it right now. Love my Man United cat. Oh, yes. They're going through a lot of pain at the moment. But I've been a fan for over 40 years, and I'll continue to be a fan. So I like this color green, always liked it. I'll be wearing this for a long time. All of my caps that I've bought, I have worn them for a very long time, to the point where they just literally started to fall apart after 20 years. And the top I'm wearing, got it, yeah, as a bargain. It costs about $20. It's a good quality top from a good quality manufacturer, and I've had it now for about 3 years, and I'll have it for another 10. So that's the sort of things, because when you spend good money on good value products, meaning products that you need and that will last a long time, you save a lot of money. Any impulse purchase you don't make, you save that money straight away. So something that costs $12 and you're like, do I need it, do I not? And you decide not to do it. That's a $12 benefit for you right there and then. You've, in a way, been paid $12 not to buy it. It's your $12. Are you going to give it away to someone else, or are you going to keep it yourself? Sometimes I play this game. I pretend that I gave it away and I invest that $12. So every time I'm going to make a purchase and say it's a $12 t-shirt, and I look at the t-shirt and I go, right, I'll revisit that again in 24 hours. And then in 24 hours I go, yeah, that t-shirt has a date on it. It refers to something that happened in 2024. It's going to be old by next year. In about 2 years' time, I can see myself donating it, putting it in a clothing bin or something like that. Actually, I'm not going to buy it. I mean, what t-shirt can you get for $12? But anyway, bear with me on the example. By not buying it, I'm $12 up. And then what I do is I go, okay, let's pretend I bought it, and I add $12 to my investments. And by doing that, I'm not going to go into the real detail, but I've saved a lot of money. Saved it in the investments, and the investments have grown. It's just been crazy. It's just been crazy. So I have taken a real minimalist attitude. And what I'm conveying to you is there's a lot to be said for minimalist attitude. Now, it's not living so frugally, you suffer. I've chosen one thing that I'll spend money on. That means a lot to me, and that's running. So I've got over 20 pairs of running shoes. Now, I know that sounds a lot, bear with me. A good number of them are for road racing. A good number of them, much less than the road racing, is for off-road, and then I've got some for the track. And the road racing ones are broken up into, easy mileage, recovery days, some tempo work and some races. And I wear them all out. None of them go to waste. A couple of the shoes you buy, the price in New Zealand dollars, you're talking 200 to 300. In the States, we might be talking anything from $100 to $200 for the equivalent shoes. I've had a couple of pairs I just bought, I didn't like, and I donated them. I don't really sell them online because it's just too much of a hassle. Anyway, donated them. So they go to a good home, or they get worn out. So most shoes I get 1,000 kilometers in, which is 600 miles, before they're dead. But that's my one thing. The point I'm making about that is I've got my one thing where I like to spend money. I still make good, sensible choices, but I'm not super frugal or even close to frugal in that area, and that's running. Again, with the gear I buy, it's gear that I know I'll get years out of. If it's not, if I'm 50-50 on it, if I think I like the design now but I might not like it later, I don't. I just go without it, and I don't feel like I'm missing out. So I have a good rotation of some gear that I just rotate through, including the shoes. Okay, so let's go back to the buy now. And I think watching that video helps you if you want to adopt a minimalist mindset. So as I say, a minimalist mindset doesn't mean you're suffering or you're going without. It means I think it means you're making better decisions with where you put your money. For me, rather than buying a whole bunch of goods that come out of organizations, My money's going in the other end, which is owning the organizations. And you do that through buying shares. Any share you have in an organization means you've got part ownership. Admittedly, it might be very small, but you've got part ownership in that organization. So the profit that's made by selling things that come out of that organization, you own part of that profit. Though again, shares are very different around the world. In New Zealand, not only do you make gains with the increased share value of the shares, but many organizations, if not most organizations in New Zealand, pay dividends. So pay money to the shareholders related to the proportion of the ownership they have of the company, drawn from the profits the company makes in the year, where in the United States it's quite different. Very few dividends, very few organizations pay dividends through to shareholders. So I don't understand the the appetite to buy shares in the States. But anyway, be it as it may. Right, minimalism. So that's not going without. You're making decisions where you put your money, and you're making sure, I think the cleanest definition of minimalism is that you're not over-consuming. That's the first threshold. So again, people I think dismiss minimalism because they think it's going without. It's not. It means you're not over-consuming. You're not throwing out a whole bunch of food that's gone bad. You don't have your drawers full of a whole bunch of clothes you've only worn 3 or 4 times. If you buy a shirt for $40 or a jacket for $40, whatever it is for $40, and you wear it 4 times, that's cost you $10 a wear. Now, if you saw that price tag on it, and the price tag said, this thing's going to cost you $10 every time you wear it, you'd walk away from it. But yet we might spend $80 on something we wear 8 times. That's insane in my world. That's insane. I'd rather have that $80 and have it invested knowing that I've got another sweatshirt or another top or another shirt at home that I love, that's still good, it's fresh, and I can wear that instead. That's my perspective. That's the difference. So let's go to buy now. If you're not convinced, if it's not something for you or your family, and gotta admit, it's really tricky when you're in a relationship with someone and you have 2 very differing views on how you spend that disposable income that you have between you. That's really tricky. I don't want to get too personal with this, but my wife and I, we've spent a lot of time talking about these things. And over time, and we weren't too far apart, but over time we've gravitated together just by talking with each other and sharing our aspirations and what we want. And she understands that running is important to me, and that's where I have a bit more freedom to spend. And for her, it's buying books. She loves books. She wants new books. So when she reads a book, and she reads a lot of books, she buys a lot of books, she spends more on books than I spend on running gear. And that's okay. That's our thing. But outside of that, my thing's running, her thing's books. But outside of that, we work together to make sure we're spending our money appropriately. We're not overspending in terms of insurance. We're not buying food that becomes wasteful. Yes, when some things are on special, and if they're not items that degrade as you own them, then we buy a little bit more. So yeah, if a cleaning product for the house, which we like, and say it's eco-friendly and everything, if it's on special, 2 bottles for the price of, or say 3 bottles for the price of 2, where we usually buy 1, we'll buy the 3 bottles because it only costs the price of 2, knowing that it won't degrade. Now, if bananas, we buy a bunch of bananas and there's a special 3 bunches of bananas for the price of 2, we won't, because we won't get through those 3 bananas before they start to degrade, unless we want to put them in the freezer or something like that. So you need to be able to preserve your investments being what you buy, because you're investing your money in it. Okay. You've been very patient with me while I share this. But so why am I sharing all of this? And I'm still going to go to the buy now video. I haven't forgotten. It's because this has made life so much easier for me. I'm going to call it a minimalist, and my wife too, a minimalist, because we know how we're going to spend our money. We've obviously got richer because of it, because you're spending less wastefully. That's the key. When you take this minimalist approach, you spend less wastefully. It's the wasted money that really gets you. And it's just made life so much simpler. We're not overladen with a whole bunch of stuff. If we need to move house, we know it's going to be a much easier task than if we had a whole bunch of stuff. And the final tip I'll give you, and it just pops into my mind now, you know those rules that extra rule I gave you before? So the first rule is wait 24 hours. And then the second rule is, will it last a really long time? Will you have the same level of appreciation for it throughout its life? Like a tattoo, right? You don't want to get a tattoo for something you're going to love for the next couple of weeks. You're not going to want to get a lyric tattooed on your arm from a song that just got released maybe a month ago and you love it, because things are going to change and you're going to feel differently in the next couple of years. But there's another rule. Another rule is this: do you already own it? There's been a number of things I've wanted to buy, and I was like, hold on, this rings a bell. And I either owned something very similar to it or something that could replace what it was that thing was going to do for me. And as much as I talk about buying a lot of running gear, there's a lot of running gear I haven't bought because I don't need it, because I already have a version of it. There's only so many wet weather running jackets that you are going to buy for running. And if the one I'm looking at now that I want to buy is so much better than the one I've got, that's on me, because I should have bought a much better jacket than the one I bought. Now, of course, you learn things over time. The functionality, degrees of weatherproof, being weatherproof, breathability, wind resistance, all of that. Maybe buying a jacket without a hood, because the ones you run with hoods, when you don't have the hood up, it just catches air and flops around. And even when the hood's up, it still catches air and sort of buffets your ears. So then you might start to gravitate towards wet weather jackets that don't have hoods, because hoods are a pain in the butt when you're running. Stuff like that, you learn. Okay. So that's what being a minimalist is about for me. Just the reduction on wasteful money and not having a house full of crap. So those three rules again: wait 24 hours. Then I'd put the new rule in here. Double check you haven't already got something you can use that would do the job of what you're about to buy. So often I've come across something I already owned that would fill that gap. And you love it now, but will you love it throughout its life cycle while you own it? Because if the answer is no to that last one, don't buy it. Don't buy something you're only going to love for a couple of months. Okay. The buy now documentary, watch it, because what you'll see there is a lot of strategies that organizations use to, I'm going to use the word trick, probably a better word is manipulate. Maybe another word that would be accurate is to coerce you into buying things you don't need to buy. Organizations do depend on turnover and selling things. And you know about this planned obsolescence. You buy something and the whole idea is the thing dies before what should be its natural end of life, so you buy it again. And you've heard about this recently in organizations. Cell phone batteries have been a big one. And I think that's really short-sighted, because any organization that doesn't do that should be getting the loyal customers to replace what they owned with that organization with another purchase from that organization. So that's, I think, a better way, of course, to treat the customer, and it's definitely better for the environment. So buying less makes you richer. It's better for the environment. Trust me, that's important. If you don't realize how important that is now, you're going to realize in the next 10 years. And that's a subject matter for a whole nother video. But man, yeah, okay. But watch the buy now video, because that will wake you up, or not wake you up, excuse me. I don't mean to use that language, and it sounds quite patronizing. So no, that will help you understand, yes, that's better. That will help you understand the strategies that are at play that try and get you to buy things because the organizations need to sell things for their own sustainment. And we don't need to buy things to sustain the economic conditions. We need good quality things, we need to spend less, and we need to move our working week from something like 40 hours to 20 hours, but with receiving the same amount of money. And of course, we won't need the same amount of money if we're buying less. Anyway, this is a subject matter for a whole nother video. But take care of yourself first. And in doing so, you'll take care of the environment, whether you want to or not. But buy less. The amount of stuff we've got is just ridiculous. Again, probably another rant for another video. But watch the Buy Now documentary to better understand the strategies that are employed to get you to buy things. If your dopamine levels need a hit, don't buy something. Understand what else you can do. And even going out for a simple walk, it can make a massive difference. But again, that's another subject for another video. Okay. Yeah, look, that's it. And just again to summarize one thing I said, you know how I talked about, and I used an example like a $12 t-shirt, and I said when you don't buy that, you're $12 richer because of that decision. Literally think about it that way. That snap purchase that you might make in seconds for a $12 item, if you choose not to buy it, you're $12 richer than you would have otherwise if you chose to buy it. And then decide what you're going to do with that 12 bucks. Either just keep it in the bank or invest it now. Just go, okay, let's pretend that $12 went, so I'm going to take it out of my bank account, but put it in my investment rather than what I would have done, which is spend the $12 on the thing. Okay, that's it. Thank you for getting to the end of the video. I hope this video, actually more than my others, has been really nutritionally rich in terms of giving you at least 1 or 2 gold nuggets of advice that is going to make life easier, simpler, or help you perform better. Those are the underlying 3 principles of all of these videos that I make on this channel. Next level every day, to make life simpler, easier, and to help you perform better. If you want to pay me back, at the moment, there's only one way to do that: hit like. If you think I've given you a piece of information that's going to materially make a difference for you, just hit like. And you're even, no dramas. Want to come across other videos, hit subscribe, but don't turn on the bell icon. Don't get notified. Being subscribed to my channel, that means you have to make the decision to go then and look at your subscriptions and find my latest video. And that's better, because don't get overwhelmed with stuff. We talk about buying a whole bunch of stuff, but we can be overwhelmed in so many other ways, and that can include just having all these notifications come through to us. So don't do that. Even do this. Make a note, subscribe to me, and make a note in your diary or your calendar in a month's time that you subscribe to me. And if you haven't watched any of my other videos, or if they're not helping you, then unsubscribe. Don't let things become burdensome because we just take on more stuff. That's it. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I do these all in the first take, one take. I say all 99%. Sometimes I slip up really quickly at the start and then I redo the whole video. But I do them all in one take. Makes editing easier for me. And I appreciate your patience because I haven't edited out all the where I get tongue-tied and stuff like that. So thank you. Catch you in the next one.